This episode of the Success Chronicles is brought to you by Derek Hubert of 5006 Visuals.
Yeah. Listen, success is whatever you make it. If you want to be happy, you want to provide for your family.
Live.
You gotta put that work in, man. You gotta go get
Learn.
it. See, listen, this is what I tell them.
Serve.
I've been grinding for so long, I wake up and chase my goals. I go
Inspire.
out and I go get it. How to go,
You're in the
that's all
right
I know.
place.
I don't
You're
succeed
checking
if I
out
don't breathe.
Chip
Success,
Baker,
what does it
the
mean?
Success
If I
Chronicles.
conquer all my goals, then I'm living out my dream. Dig deep, go out and get it. Success Chronicles. Compete until it's finished. Success Chronicles.
Luxury Beats.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chip Baker coming to you with another episode of the Success Chronicles. And today we have my guy Derrick Wagoner here with us, D-Wag. And great story, great guy. So let's get right into it, my man. First question is, how do we know one another, or how do we meet? You want to talk about that?
Oh gosh, a long time ago. I think I probably remember meeting you before you remember meeting me. When I was little, going to the football camps at the high school, I would see Coach Bake, and just a big presence. Not because of a lot of the reasons coaches are noticed and such, like yelling or running around hooping and hollering. Not really that kind of stuff, but more just the people around him really wanted to work hard for him, and you could just tell that in people that he just met, and that was pretty significant to see. So I really liked him from the beginning, and then I don't quite know whenever you remember meeting me. Was it probably freshman year?
Yeah. Coming in there, and really good class, really good group of guys.
Yeah.
Just solid, hard-working dudes. At the end of the day, just guys that just took care of business and did what they're supposed to do. And then as far as my next question is your life story. I think that kind of lead into that. Just when I talked about you guys just being dedicated and focused and made sacrifices for the things that were important. If you could just kind of talk about your story, where you're from, how you grew up, those kind of things up until now.
So I'm born and raised in Conroe, Texas. All my life, same house. Grew up dreaming of being a Conroe Tiger, and then had dreams beyond that. Since I was little, I think kindergarten, really before I can remember, I wanted to go to West Point. Not really sure how that idea got in my head, because my parents didn't even know what West Point was. But that's the place that I wanted to go. That's the United States Military Academy. Fairly prestigious place.
Fairly? Okay.
It took quite a bit of effort and hard work and some major blessings to get me there. But through all that, I actually was able to make it there and fulfill some of my dreams, at least the first parts. So yeah, I grew up in Conroe, went through Conroe schools, played for the Conroe Tigers. Then was able to make it into West Point, and I've been there for the past 3.5 years. I've got another semester, and then I'll be commissioning as a lieutenant in the infantry. So very excited about that.
Yeah, those things. The way you talk about it, so yeah, West Point, I did it, but really, like, it takes a lot to be able to be in your shoes, and I think, I've seen the other side of it, the hard work and the dedication
Right.
and the grind and just the don't quit and giving your all, and I was talking to my son about this. I mean, like, in order to go to that place, like, you have to have recommendations from a senator, like
Yes, sir.
like that, like, you have to be an exceptional person to be able to do something like that. And so, to me, on my end, I think you are that guy, and so I'm just so happy with you being there and the things that you're doing, and that you have achieved, but then also the things that you're gonna achieve, because I mean, you're gonna be set for life, based off of the work that you've already put in, and it's just a matter of taking care of your business and doing what you're doing like you always do. So let's talk a little bit about your career. So you said you're currently at West Point. You said you have a semester left until you'll be lieutenant there.
Yes,
and
sir.
let's talk about your career path and your plans from there.
All right, so that's actually a good point, because I do think it's really important for us to at least have an idea of where we're going and some path that we're trying to run down. Otherwise, you just get lost in the woods.
That's it.
So I'm going to be an infantry lieutenant for the next probably 3 years, and then I'll start talking with my higher-ups and such, and potentially dropping a packet to move to the special operations community. And that's a whole nother level, so there's a lot more hard work that has to go into that, and a lot of blessings that have to come. But if I was fortunate enough to have that happen, then I could be either in the Ranger Regiment or possibly Special Forces within the next 6 years, and then I'd get to do a lot of cool stuff all over the place.
Yeah.
So that's really what's my near target for the future.
What are 3 things that you've accomplished in your life that you're proud of?
3 things that I'm proud of. So I've been pretty successful thus far in a lot of facets. But kind of what we were hitting at, I think it's important to have goals and kind of know your purpose, what you're trying to do. And my big, long-term, into-my-life goal is just to be able to look back and say that I had as much of a positive influence on as many lives as possible as I could have. That's kind of my whole, goal. Some people want, other things, this and that.
Right.
But that's really what makes me happy and what makes me do what I do. So that kind of makes what I see as my biggest accomplishments to maybe not be what others would think are my biggest accomplishments. 'Cause
Right.
I've done some cool stuff, won some awards. The city of Conroe gave me a day a few years back, February 9th, as just a credit to my service to the community. I really think they just thought I was a good dude and wanted to give me something. But,
Hey, take it how you can get it, brother.
that's right. So,
but it's deserving too. Don't get it twisted. I'll say that it's super deserving.
thank you. One big, I don't know if this is really an accomplishment for me, but I kind of see it as such. And this is sort of a radical idea, so you might have to cut it from the video. But a lot of times people that talk about success and reaching your goals and things like that, a lot of the advice that comes is, surround yourself with great people.
Right.
And I mean, I believe that if you want to be, a diamond, it helps to have some diamonds around you, help you shine. But the kind of other side of that is that it kind of implies that you kind of leave behind the ones that are holding you back, and I suppose influencing you to make decisions contrary to your best interest of you obtaining those goals of yours. And since I can remember, that idea has never really set well with me, because I've got friends of all kinds. As you were talking about, I've hung out with senators and congressmen. Some of my best, closest friends are, felons. And then, 6 months ago, I was sitting down with Michael Bloomberg, who's like one of the top 10 richest men in America, just drinking coffee. So I've got a wide spectrum, and I think that is a wide spectrum of friends. It's not so much just, or of people I interact with. It's not so much just I am with one sect of people.
Right.
And I think that is extremely valuable, because it really opens up your eyes to a lot of different views of the world. And that knowledge is very powerful, to be able to see things from a lot of different angles, instead of just perhaps the angle that you hope to one day see it, or to one day see it from. So as far as that accomplishment, I think just having a wide spectrum of people I interact with and people that I can call my brother. Yeah. From
regardless of
top to bottom in all aspects of any.
I agree with that. I mean, like you say, it may seem radical, but I don't. I think I totally agree with that. I think at the end of the day, in order to be successful, I think you have to have successful relationships.
Absolutely.
And when you have successful relationships, you're in situations where you learn from everybody you come in contact with. But then also making a difference to everybody you come in contact with too. So I totally agree with that.
And as far as the aspect about the danger of, hanging out with bad people can bring you down, that's a real danger, not to be taken lightly. Definitely be aware of that. But also, don't be, just as much as you can be, peer pressured down,
they can be peer pressured up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like I said, my goal is to, make as much of a difference as possible. So that's a big deal to me. Bringing people up. So.
That's a great open mindset too. A lot of people, I think, like you said, look at steer clear of it, get away. It's about me trying to do this, as opposed to being open minded. I mean, but then also still having your boundaries. You don't
absolutely,
want to, but having an open mindset that I'm just gonna help. I just want to help.
Absolutely, and as long as you're a strong man or woman in your moral character, and can assess on your own the right and wrong decision, and then have the courage to act accordingly, I think that, that negative peer pressure and that bad influence would be somewhat minuscule.
Yeah.
And the good that you can do is a lot more than the hurt that you'll get.
That's deep.
So that's one thing that I've really always been heavy on my heart, is just don't cut your people off. Your day ones are your day ones. start to finish. Bring people up where you can, and don't become so focused on, let's see, how can I say that? Become focused on what you want to be and what you want to achieve, but in doing so, don't put on blinders to every other outlook on life.
Yeah. No doubt.
So that's really one of my biggest accomplishments, I think, and one of the things that I've been most fortunate to understand, especially at a young age.
Yeah, it takes maturity too to be able to do that.
Mature guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, coming up in a semester, I'm going to graduate from West Point. I know this one hasn't quite happened yet, but I think that should be said as one of my, biggest accomplishments so far, because that's took a lot of hard work. There were, throughout high school, I would, sacrificed a lot as far as having fun with my friends and going out and stuff. There were a lot of nights just at my table at home, busting out homework and, doing what I could to make it there. I was able to get number 2 in the class of 2014 because of all that hard work, and from that and just some, like I said, some blessings.
So, what's your definition of success?
For me, my definition of success goes back to that life goal of, making as much of a positive difference in people's lives, as many people's lives as possible. So for me, success looks like not so much a trophy or something, a token that, hey, you did this, or anything like that. It's more like seeing those around you and those that you interact with succeed, or putting yourself in a better position to help those around you succeed. My whole, purpose going to West Point and all that, I'm going to get to go all over the world and help an incredible amount of people, and I think that's a really special thing that I'm going to be very fortunate to get to do.
No doubt.
So success to me isn't so much, a token or a diploma or something like that, but it's more putting yourself in more of an advantageous position to help others, or the actual helping of others. That's my definition.
Okay. Well, and what do you think it takes to achieve that?
A lot. A lot. It takes a lot. All kinds of, every kind of hard work you can think of, it takes that.
A lot of prayers, probably, huh?
Definitely. That's probably half of it right there. The prayers. You got to be confident, and for me, that comes from faith.
Yeah.
A lot of prayer, a lot of, always thinking that he's right behind me, which he is. And along with that comes the hard work piece. I found with a lot of my, not so much a lot, but throughout my life, I've seen a lot of people that, have a lot of faith. They pray, but they don't actually, do.
Actions.
Exactly, and I think that's a mistake, because, in my heart, I believe God acts through people. Of course, there are miracles where divine intervention occurs, I think, but for the most part, I think if you want to achieve something or something of that nature, then you pray about it, but you shouldn't pray that I'm not trying to tell you how to pray, but I don't pray about like you know. For example, I'm a boxer. I box for West Point on the boxing team. I've been all over the country doing fights in, Nevada at casinos and Georgia and different places. Really cool experiences. But I never say a prayer of, like, dear Lord, please let my opponent get knocked out. Or please let my opponent be unconscious. If I'm gonna say
your actions speak differently, but that's not your prayer, huh?
If I'm gonna say a prayer to that nature, that it would be more something like Lord, give me the strength to defeat my opponent.
Yeah.
Give me the strength to knock this guy out. Not so much asking the Lord to just come down and do it,
make it happen,
but to make it happen through me.
Right.
And I think that kind of mindset, small difference, but big implications, because that gives you a sense of ownership in your own, and a sense of agency, I guess, in your own actions and stuff. Because things don't just happen for you; you have to make them happen.
Right, and that's what, like, as you're saying that, that's what I was going to say too. With your actions, you're being used by a higher power to be that vessel.
Exactly.
Just like you said,
a vessel.
like, yeah, you said just like with the boxing analogy, but it's the same thing with your definition of success. You letting the God in you shine through to help. You're being used through that, and I think when you have a heart and you do those things, from that point of view, from that perspective, people see that. You know what I'm saying? And
yes, sir.
People, and I don't know, I've heard, I see the God in you, like, I don't know if that makes sense what I'm trying to say, but like, people see your heart and your intentions through your actions, and we, nobody's perfect, we all make mistakes, but I think when people see that your actions come from a good place, then people are more apt to help, and jump on board with that as well, because it's good stuff.
Absolutely, it definitely influences others around you. I mean, if you're walking down the street and you see, a couple pieces of trash, and the guy in front of you picks up a piece of trash,
you don't want to help the guy.
Yeah, you're just naturally inclined to,
makes sense.
Grab the next piece.
Yeah.
That's an analogy in a very small way, but that applies, across the board to everything. If you're, like you were saying, your actions come from a good place, people see that. It's
right.
Clear as day, and it's inspiring, and others want to partake, for sure.
And I also think, also when you do things that come from a pure place, and just like you said, the big man knows your intentions, and their intentions of good, to be good. I think he also keeps you in his hand and protects you too. I believe that.
Without a doubt.
I'm a firm believer in that as well. And so when it comes from a good place and you're doing it for the right reasons, in a faith-based way, there's no way that it can't be nothing but success. Hence, where you are.
Exactly.
And the things that you've been blessed to do. I'm gonna go off the script a little bit. Just something for you to think about. I know you deeply, and I know the things that you've sacrificed. I know the work that you've put into what you've done. Again, I'm gonna say this again. I think you're so deserving of the things that have happened to you, but those things, I know without a shadow of a doubt that those things haven't happened without you putting in some things behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about. You know what I'm saying? I heard this E.T. You said a real man in the dark putting in work when nobody even knows. You just see the outside. You see the glory, but you don't know the story. That kind of thing.
Yeah, That's true.
You know, and so what are some things that, you know, if there was a person, you know, young person, you know, watching this chronicle, and you know they're saying, wow, that guy's at West Point, you know, wow, that guy, you know, he's got to meet those cool people, you know, wow, that guy's, you know, going to be able to travel the world and help people, you know, I want to be that dude, you know, like how do I, what are some things that you would say a person would need to do in order to be in your shoes or to be successful like you are, like I feel you are? Because you're not gonna say, you know, yeah, I was gonna, you know, you're not gonna say that, but I can say that.
So, I said this before in the voice memo I sent you, but success isn't a door.
Right.
It's not a threshold that you can step from one side to the other on. It's a mountainside that you got to climb up. That's all in that little voice memo. But I think understanding that and not waiting for something to happen, and just acting is super, super important. Hard work is hard, and it's work.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to do it.
That's what it is. It's hard and it's work. That's
And I mean, there's no secret to it. If you work really, really hard, you're going to get there. It's going to make that difference. It's going to be there. I remember in high school, before finals, we were all, the high school seniors were all that had been on the football team. We're all in like this classroom, just hanging out. Didn't have anything to do, because no more football for us. So some were playing, video games.
I remember.
Just hanging out, having a good time. But I had, big
finals,
tests coming up. So I had to go be, kind of a loner off in a corner and snagged a desk and laid out my stuff and just started studying and doing work. And, I've had a lot of experiences like that, and times when I think, gosh, am I gonna regret, what I'm missing out on, to do.
I'm glad you said that. That's a good point.
And I can't say that you don't wish that you could have had those opportunities to do things with your peers, because you absolutely do. I mean, that fun stuff, those experiences that you sacrifice, I mean, that's why it's called sacrifice. You don't get to have them. But what you get in return is a lot more, I think, if in achieving your goal. Getting where you need to be.
I want to talk too a little bit more about how you said the loner. Everybody else playing over there. And I'm the guy over here. With my books out with a desk by myself. Quiet. And so many times, I think that's a really big thing to me, because just that one scenario that you did, like. Really, I'm sure there's about 50 scenarios or more that you could think were similar situations where you made the choice to make the sacrifice, to put in the work when everybody else was doing this. You were mentally tough and strong enough to say, hey, no, I'm going to do this because I know, like, this. I'm trying to get to West Point, and if I don't make the sacrifice to study and make exceptional grades, then I can't get to where I'm trying to get, which will help me help the people that I want to help. And so, backtracking back to it, when you made that decision in elementary school, that you wanted to go to West Point, you decided, hey, boom, this is what I'm going to do, and nobody's going to stop me, and I'm going to go get it.
Gotta go get it.
You got to go get it, and, by your actions, you made those sacrifices when everybody was partying, I'm studying. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and I think I think that was one thing that made me understand who you are. Like when I coached you, is because I'm that same guy. I felt like the things that I saw you do, like that scenario, I did the same thing. Like growing up, I chose to not do everything that everybody else was doing. And sometimes like you said, you feel, man, am I missing out? Yeah. But then at the end of the day, and I can tell you now, as an adult looking back on it, man, I'm so glad that I was blessed to have the maturity enough to make those good decisions.
Absolutely.
And it's truly been a blessing in my life, because it's allowed me, just like you're gonna do, just like you're setting out to do, it's allowed me the opportunity to help so many people that I love and so many people that I've come in contact with. It's been a blessing. It's been a blessing, for my family, the people that have really poured into me and shown me the way of how to do things, and even when I didn't do them right, they demanded that I did those things. It's allowed me to be able to help and be a light for them as well, and so, those same things, I know I asked you the question, but I'm kind of, can you tell I'm a little passionate about that?
I can tell.
I don't know. It's so important to me that kids know that it's okay to be a square peg in this world that's round.
And yes, it is. Completely okay.
It's okay.
This kind of goes back to the whole thing with peer pressure. Do not be afraid to be different.
Yeah.
If you're strong in your moral character and you know what is right and wrong, don't be afraid to do the right when everyone else is doing the wrong. That is what you should do. And in doing so, I guarantee you a bunch of people in that crowd are going to say, hey, this guy's doing right, I'm going to do that. Because they're already thinking it. But it takes some real courage and a real person of character to act accordingly in a scenario like that.
And then, I'm going to do you one better. And those guys that you grew up with, and like you're saying in that situation, those guys see that. Mm-hmm. And those guys see those sacrifices that you made. So, once you show that you have the courage enough to stand up, say, hey, yeah, I'm, and it's not hey, I'm not gonna, it's not like that. It's by your actions. You ain't got to say nothing. I'm just over here, I'm studying, dog. No, I'm good. It's not like no, y'all
Absolutely.
suck. It's nothing like that. It's like, hey, like I got stuff to take care of. But then you get a respect from the people that you're around, because they know how driven and how focused you are. And then, those people are not gonna, they're gonna look out for you too. Even if you did try to make a decision on something that's not good, them guys say, hey man, you don't need to do that. Hey dog, no, you good, keep pushing. They're gonna have your back. And and I've seen those things as well, the guys, so it's about doing the right thing and making the decisions to do the right thing, because at the end of the day, and I say this all the time, if it comes from a good place with faith driven, you realize that, and this is not grammatically correct, I've said this before, it ain't about you. I know it's not about you, but,
it ain't about you.
Yeah, it ain't about you. When you realize that, you're making those sacrifices so that you can help those around you that you love, and the people, like you said, your goal is to help as many people as you can and travel the world and do that. Man, it gives you a great sense of pride that you were able to put in all of that hard work and know that, man, I've set myself up to be in a position where I can help somebody.
Absolutely. And as what you kind of what you were saying about, making those sacrifices and stuff, and being different, being that loner if you got to for a minute.
Yeah.
Having that courage to do what not everyone else is doing, and how people perceive that and see the good that you're doing and that you're doing right, and the hard work you're putting in. And I promise your peers will not hold that against you. And in fact, quite the opposite.
Yes.
It'll elevate their perception of you and their love for you. Missing the party isn't going to lose you your friends. I promise. I mean, it's fun to go to the party and be with all the boys and have a good time. But not being there for some of those isn't going to lose you all your friends. Nobody's going to forget about you. Some of my best friends are from my high school days. Still, I mean,
Yeah.
It's only been like 4 years now, but whereas most groups have drifted apart at this point and such, some of my best friends are still from, high school and even before. Arthur and I have known each other since we were this tall, and yeah. But whenever you have to step away and make those sacrifices and can't have fun with the group, nobody holds that against you at all. My friends from high school, there's got some really good ones that I haven't talked to in a long time, other than a "Hey, how you doing?" text every now and then, just to catch up. But I have no doubt that if I called them right now and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be by in 5 minutes. I need you to get in the car. We gotta go do something," like they'll be in the car. Or just the loyalty and the friendship, the true value of it, doesn't just go away because you miss a party. No, it is still there, and the love for you is still there from your peers.
If it's a true.
Yes, that's a very good point.
If it's a true friendship and a true loyalty and a true love, if there's a person who don't have your best interest at heart, then they're gonna be, because it's about them and not about your best interest.
That's a great distinction. The ones that do fall away because you missed the party, you didn't want those guys to be your friends in the first place.
Yeah, you don't want to hang around them kind of dudes. No way.
Not those guys. But a lot of people that would die for me, and that I'd do the same for them, that I haven't got to hang out with per se in quite some time. Just because of the sacrifices that we're talking about.
That's it. Well, thanks so much for coming through and interviewing with the Success Chronicles.
Yes, sir.
Your
Thanks
story.
for having me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Your story is an amazing one, and I'm excited to see how it's gonna go, how it's gonna continue to soar and elevate.
Yes,
And again, just like I said, just couldn't have a better guy serving and representing our country, and I'm just proud and honored that I know that guy.
Thank you.
And so just keep up the great work, my man, and keep pushing and doing what you're doing. And it's I don't know, it's inspiring to all of us. So just keep pushing.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for joining this episode of the Success Chronicles. We'll see you next time. God bless. Thanks to Derek Hubert of 5006 Visuals for sponsoring this episode of the Success Chronicles. Go get it.